And I'll tell you, September is rolling on.
God,
Is
it's
it?
almost October.
It is almost October. I'll tell you. I getting a little color over here in the leave change department, a little bit.
Today is the last day of summer.
It is. It is.
It is. So we need to mourn the last day of summer, which I
Oh,
do every year because I like summer. And I like it when it's warm. I like it when it's dry, and I just like summer. And I know there are fall people out there, and there's a few winter people, but they're freaks. Some spring people, but I think most people are summer people, and so we should probably mourn that. And I think we should really celebrate the fact, though, that the federal government may shut down. I just love the whole shutdown thing. Oh my God, it's going to shut down.
right, right.
Nothing changes when it shuts down. It's not like they spend less money. It's not like
No,
nothing.
wait a minute. Wait a minute, David. When they shut down, all the national parks are closed. Okay. Let's see. They do
Oh
things
yeah,
like
yeah. You're right. Yeah,
that punish the people,
yeah.
but it really doesn't stop anything else. And I got to tell you, I'm very glad that Matt Gaetz has said, you know what, we're going to go by line item. We're not going to do some spending omnibus bill.
Yeah,
Let's
the
go by
continuing
line item.
resolution. It's their
Yeah,
only job. It's their
it
only
is.
freaking job, Sonny. The House of Representatives to do the damn budget. They have no other job. It's in the Constitution of the United States of America. The House will, figure out how much money needs to be spent at the federal level, and that's what they do. And they don't do it. They don't even do it. The president is responsible for putting together a budget, and it's up to them to pass it. And they just do this continuing resolution. Meanwhile, government spending, and I don't know what it's like adjusted for inflation, and that's really a big factor these days because things have inflated a lot in the last couple of years. Well, prices have rose a lot in the last few years, but that federal budget number just keeps going up.
Yes, it does. And you know what? It's beyond time to tighten the belt. So I'm happy to see them doing a line item if that happens. That's what they're talking about.
Well, it should
And
be line item, and it should be zero based budgeting. It should start at zero every year, and that's not the way they do it. They take last year's budget and they add inflation, as they like to call it, and continue to spend more. But I was looking at a list of all of the budgets and which administrations they were signed under and all of that, and it's unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable. We've had $6 trillion budgets now since 2020.
yeah, and some people have said roll it back to pre-COVID. That's for me not enough. But
Oh God, roll it back to pre-World War I.
oh my gosh, the people would scream. The people would scream. But I hear
My
you,
check, my check. Where's my check?
yeah, so it needs to be, there's lots of things that need to be cut and a lot of pork that needs to be cut. We do need infrastructure maintained, but beyond that, I'm because that's our tax bases, our interstate freeways, bridges, stuff like that, I think is great. And they always threaten, oh my God, there goes Social Security. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, there goes Social Security. And no, no, I don't think it's going anywhere. Hey, speaking of that, David, I was having a conversation during the fair, which Dave and I were talking a little about the fair before, or roundup, I mean, not the fair, but roundup before we came on. And I learned from a couple that in the state of Washington, a deduction, something that they have is a mandatory deduction out of their paycheck that covers long-term care. I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's, yeah. Well, here's the funny thing about that is in a couple generations, people will say that it's their money and that they earned it and that they paid into it.
But if you move, you're leaving that money on the table because it is a deduction. And the couple that was telling me about this is apparently something new in Washington State, and they said that they're already talking that they're not taking enough out.
Well, no, of course not. Of course not.
No.
Yeah, the healthcare system has completely been completely destroyed by President Obama and the Democrat Congress that passed it, so we could see what was in it.
Oh
Uh,
yes. Oh
yeah,
yes. Remember those
I
famous
can't believe
words.
it. My interface with the healthcare system in COVID in 2021, and then again in I guess very last day of 2021 for an appendectomy. It was shocking. It was shocking. It's ridiculous. Nothing. And oh, you know what? And you know what else? And I think I talked about this is the insurance thing. So our company we shrunk to where we couldn't get the group insurance anymore. So I go to healthcare.gov to get insurance, right? And I think I may have explained this before, but at least I told somebody, I'm just, where the industry's in the slumps right now. So we're not making a lot of income. We're just,
Yep.
myself, my partner's not making a lot of income. So I put down my income, which is not very much. And they give, they come back with, this is how much it costs for your insurance. And and it adds up to half
Whoa.
of my income.
Whoa.
I think maybe half if you include, maybe it was half if you include the deductible. And I used to have the gold star plan or whatever it was, but I chose just a cheap one just for catastrophic stuff,
Yeah.
and it ended up being half of my freaking, what I put down as wages. Right. So I go back here just a few weeks ago. I go back and I'm trying to figure out if I thought somehow this was pitched to us that, there might be some sort of reduced rate for, people based on income. So I go back and I change my income to zero, which it has been for several months. And they ask you on there, how much money did you make in this month? And I put zero. I didn't make any money. So they come back and say, okay, you're on Oregon Health Plan. There's no other option. There's no reduced payment. There's no, this is how much I can afford, give me a $30,000 deductible and I'll just have major medical thing for, $800 a month or $1,000 a month or whatever. There's nothing. It's either or. So Oregon Health Plan sends me reams of paper. And in there, they are telling me that I can get money for everything. I can get housing. I
Wow.
can get food. I can get my heating bills paid for.
Let's sign you up for everything because
Yes,
you had zero income.
yes. And
Wow.
this ties back into the budget.
Yes.
So roughly two thirds of the budget is some sort of benefit or some sort of entitlement for somebody. That's 2/3 of that $6 trillion, or $4 trillion are checks written to people, or healthcare provided, or whatever the hell it is. I mean, we can cut it by 2/3 just by stop delivering checks and giving free everything to anybody that can fog a mirror in the United States of America.
Well, recently I read, that's a very good point, David. But recently I read that the illegals coming over the border are getting checks for $2,400 a month. And the average Social Security check for people that have actually worked in this country is like $1,400 a month. So how are we paying people that are one, illegal, number two, have never paid taxes or worked a day lawfully in this country, getting a check and making more? And what you just talked about for the state of Oregon, because you're living in the state of Oregon and they want single payer. Remember, our legislators passed single payer health care that hasn't enacted yet. And so this is the type of stuff that breaks economies.
Oh yeah, it's a total Cloward and Piven strategy for the United States of America. And as Les said, printing money is the only solution the
Yes.
government has, and there's plenty of. I'm not sure how far it goes. I'm not sure how long it takes for the United States dollar for people to get a little hinky about the U.S. dollar, but we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen in Argentina. We've seen it happen in Venezuela. Argentina right now. I don't know if you saw that Tucker thing on Argentina, but Argentina's their inflation, or their money printing, if you will, the supply of their money being pumped into the country, thus affecting prices by, requiring more dollars because they're worth less, is about 10 to 12% a month.
Wow. No, I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, and so so in Argentina, and we're just kind of we're just going wherever we're going here, but so in Argentina, there's an underground industry. And what that underground industry does is it will take your $100 bill, American bill in Argentina, and it will convert it to the real amount of Argentinian pesos or whatever the heck it is. That is the actual exchange rate, because the government will not allow the legal banks to do that. So if there's 1,000 pesos to a dollar, they will only allow the banks to give you 500 for that dollar, because our money's worth more than that, the government is saying.
Wow.
So I was watching I was watching this underground thing where Tucker took $100 bill and he got like a stack of, I guess it doesn't work on this screen, but he got a big stack, about, if those are $100 bills, that's about $50,000, and he got this big stack of bills. And I thought to myself, I was watching that and I thought, so the stack that the guy handed him is decreasing in price by 10% a month. I'm thinking, you could make some fucking money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Providing a service that everyone who comes into the country with US dollars wants. They want the real exchange rate.
They do. And this is the same thing that Charlie and I experienced when we were in Venezuela in 96, 97. And Charlie had, he says, okay, we're going to go to the bank and get some money out of the bank. And he says, we're going to end up with, we're only taking out, $1,000 US, but we're going to get a wheelbarrow of money because of because of what it was worth. So it's just like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I thought, all right. So he tells me we're going to go in the bank and we're going to get this money. And then we're going to walk into somebody's office, because at this time in Venezuela, every business had somebody that was armed with an Uzi or machine gun or like a I don't know, it's a military, like a Grand, a rifle, right? Okay. And I mean, even the donut shop. And that's exactly what we got. We got two big piles of cash, like this. And he says, this is yours. And he says, I want you to stuff it in your pants, put it in your shoes, your bra, And I learned about traveling in some of these countries, and it's quite dangerous. You don't ask for the Uber guy or the taxi driver to wait for you, because he's going to rob you,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I didn't know that it was that bad in Argentina.
Yeah.
And that
they have they have a presidential candidate. His name escapes me, but he's a younger guy, and he's very, in American terms, libertarianish.
Mm-hmm.
He's an economist. He is a musician and a soccer player, football
Football.
player of some note, and he's leading in the polling in Argentina to become their next president.
So
And
Tucker actually went there to interview him, didn't he?
he did, and the
Yeah.
interview was, man, of course, he's a politician running for office, and I don't believe anything that comes out of a politician's mouth. But I'll tell you what, he hit all of the. If I were a not quite so discerning voter, and I actually believed what people said on the campaign trail, man, he would checked all of my boxes. I'll tell you what. I mean, he was unequivocal about abortion. You know, he said that's just no bueno in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So.
Well, good. Hey, maybe he can get it. Hopefully, he gets elected and turns Argentina around. What a beautiful country.
Wouldn't,
And so
yeah,
I
wouldn't that
haven't
be?
watched, I saw that Tucker had done those, but I haven't watched his videos yet.
Yeah, wouldn't that just be? I mean, that would be a kind of a light on the hill in
Yes.
in South America, because Venezuela has fallen to socialism / communism. I mean, I'm not even sure it can be saved anymore. Brazil is flirting. It's very socialist and flirting, looking to ally with the largest communist powers on the earth in the BRICS.
Yeah.
And it would be, yeah, it'd be nice, and then you've got, the other places that are just run by drug cartels because they have, 5 times more money than the whole government.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have something down there. And Argentina, is a beautiful country, and it's a large country, and it has abundant natural resources. It could be
Yes.
a real powerhouse in the world economy if someone were willing to take the steps to allow them to utilize all of their natural resources. I mean, America used to be that, and now we're nothing. We have no natural resource utilization to speak of.
In just 3 short years, I mean, we went from producing, being the world's
oil, but I mean,
in oil.
Yeah, but we should be a leader in gold, silver, lithium, cobalt, all of that, and we're not. We don't mind nothing. And we still have, I think, more natural gas than anybody else. Natural gas is so abundant in the United States, and it's so difficult to export that we just burn it, burn it off because,
Yeah, it's a shame what has happened in our country. And so economically, and with this, I frankly shut down, do the line items, and cut the pork out of the budget.
Oh, God,
That's the part of this conversation.
Wouldn't that be great? I saw a kind of a leftist spin article on, it was, the premise of the article was politicians, or I guess presidential candidates, saying they're going to cut federal agencies, And it said, that the executive branch, doesn't have the latitude to do too much with federal agencies that have been authorized and funded by Congress. And I understand that. But the executive branch does have a lot of latitude as far as staffing. And the executive branch, or a good president, should have the ability to lobby Congress to say, hey, let's take this out. Let's take out the Department of Education. Let's take out the Department of Energy. Let's take out HUD. Let's take out the IRS.
Well, this is the perfect time right now for the House to do that, to just cut their budgets.
It is.
Quite frankly.
It is.
I mean, this is a good time to cut their budgets.
Everybody has to do the same damn thing. And people say, well, you can't do that with government. And I understand you can't run government probably like your personal finances, and you certainly can't run government like a business, because it's not a business. People try to make it a business, and it should never be a business because government is bad at
Yeah,
business.
and it shouldn't be competing with free enterprise either.
No, it's not. But everyone that supports the government has to do the same thing. When we can't print money, states can't print money, counties can't print money, fire department can't print money, cities can't print money. So every other entity in the world has to cut their budgets, including every other, individual. And we just keep printing our way to bigger and bigger government.
To a downfall, quite frankly, because it's unsustainable.
Well, it is. It is.
It's unsustainable. And
It is.
you can look and see what the other countries have done that have led to their fall. But of course, that's the goal. That's the goal, David. We're not fooled by that.
Well, big government feeds on liberty. Big government feeds on individual liberty, and it does that by taking money out of your pocket. I've said it before on the show that government is an individual's single largest cost. The single largest expense is government. They take the most money out of your pocket, unless you got a, nasty cocaine habit, and then maybe your drug dealer does. But it takes what's left at, after the government sticks their hand in your pocket. And it's untenable, it's unsustainable, and there's absolutely no will whatsoever anywhere in Washington, D.C. to change it.
No, I think there's a few that would like to change it. We'll see what happens, but the majority, I totally agree with you. It's the machine, and the machine, this is how it's got to continue running. And then they go, well, I got to get mine. I got to get mine for my state, and I got to get mine for my state and for my pet project. And then we have our local electeds that go, well, give us ours. Right? They've all got the handouts and give us ours. And
local governments are turning over every rock trying to find more money. A lot of it is because costs have gone up so much. And probably an even larger amount is mandates. Cities and counties have mandates by the state. They have mandates by the federal government. And now you have to do this new thing, and there's no money for it. And I know down here in Josephine County, man, they're the sheriff and all of the county commissioners. I mean, I don't know about the sheriff. The county commissioners are supposedly Republicans. But they have all been quoted as saying they will do everything humanly possible to find more tax money. And I get it. You want to take care of your stuff, but at some point in time, people just have to live with what they can afford. The sheriff's departments, that's always what happens. The sheriff's department's going to be shut down, and there's just going to be no criminals going to run wild. Well, they didn't pass their tax, and it didn't shut down. But, the fact is, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. Right?
Yeah. And the wages keep going up, and whatever the wage is, their benefit is 100% of that, and the cost is really high. And speaking of wages, I heard today from New York City, because of all the illegals getting, flooded into New York City, the illegals that are there are complaining their wages are going down because they're pissed off at the new illegals coming in. And it does. And illegals coming in actually stifles wages all across the country. Even though we have this inflation, it actually does stifle wages.
Yeah. Yeah, well, most employers in America pay illegals exactly what they pay their lowest paid non-illegal people, right? I have a friend who employs a number of illegals, and he pays them, $15 an hour, but one of the benefits of hiring illegals is they work. And there's no hassle.
No, there is no hassle. They don't give any lip.
No lip. When they get laid off at the end of the season, they don't turn you into every agency like all of our citizen employees do? I mean, every October we get a visit from the state saying that Joe Schmo said that you're doing this, and we have to come investigate. Every year,
Wow.
every year, every
Oh,
year.
wow.
Somebody says that
Yeah,
we're
well,
doing.
Joe Schmo, you're not going to get hired again.
Yeah, I tell
You
you what,
know?
man. I've hired some. I've hired some real. Or I haven't hired them because I would not hire them. Fortunately, they've all been fired. But we've had some real entitled commies working for us.
Though, but you had to have people, and there's such a lack of shortage of people that are willing
There
to
is.
work that sometimes you're scraping the bottom of the barrel. I get it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's,
You do get it. A
yeah.
lot of people don't get it. A lot of people don't understand. Like my wife Karen, she doesn't understand why people say they're going to show up and do something, and then they don't do it. And I say, well, you got to keep calling them.
Yeah, you do. You know, uh, when we lived in Hawaii, they said, "Oh, surf's up. Oh, nobody's coming to work today."
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's kind of getting like that here in America with these entitled snowflakes.
yeah.
But and you're right though, the illegals will show up, they'll work, and there's no hassle, and they just keep their nose down, and they're happy to have a job. And you know what? And you can go pick them up on those corners where they are, in every one of our communities. They are
Right.
on corners. If you want a day labor, I'm not necessarily promoting that, but they're there. It's just a fact of life in our
Yeah,
country.
yeah.
And
And some of them are damn happy.
oh yeah,
I remember showing up truckloads of stuff for these people to do over at my buddy's place, and I'd show up and they were hooting and hollering and whistling, and they're unloading all the stuff and laughing, and they couldn't wait to start processing uh, stuff, and it's like, wow, these people are happy to
yeah.
work.
Happy to
They
have a job.
they
Happy to
are,
have a
yeah.
job,
They were nice.
Yeah.
They're just nice, some nice people. Now that's obviously that's not what's happening at our border.
No.
Uh, no, it's not. I mean, we've got
No.
terrorists and communists and Chinese and
We're
criminals.
having an invasion, David. We're
They
having
are.
an invasion. And I'm so glad that the governor of Texas finally, Greg Abbott, has declared an invasion, which he has declared war essentially, against the federal government. And I read yesterday that the feds went down to Texas and cut razor wire and opened it up to let the illegals in. And the National Guard, Texas National Guard, had to go down and put that all back together.
Really?
That's BS when the feds are interfering in states' rights because the federal government is not protecting us as a nation. They're not doing their number one job. Number one job is security for our nation. That's it.
Mhm. Article 4.
And
Protect the states from invasion.
yeah,
Right in the
so
Constitution.
it's I gotta study mine more. I admit that we should all be studying our
Yeah.
Constitution. Good on you,
Well, it's
Dave.
it's pretty easy because it's a short read.
It is. I've got like 3 copies right here at my desk.
You can read it rather thoughtfully in 30 minutes. It's and yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's somebody wrote. This was my words of wisdom that I couldn't remember the other day. When it was Tuesday at the end of the show when Kevin asked me if I had any words of wisdom. There was one, and I couldn't remember it because apparently I have CRS. And it's this in regards to what's going on with our government. Um, it's the sickness is this large oppressive government. The cure is just a healthy dose of reality, but the vaccine is the Constitution. So a friend of mine said that, and I thought I would use it without
Very
attribution.
good. Very good.
Yeah.
And so, speaking of our Constitution, well, I'm tell you what, I've got a story here that a federal appeals court ruled that the White House, the CDC, the FBI and the Surgeon General violated a Stanford doctor's First Amendment right by using social media to silence him. So this is our Constitution. And it was Dr. Jay Bhattacharya. And he had co-authored the Great Barrington Declaration in 2020, which raised important questions about how lockdowns and other COVID-19 policies were handled in the US during the pandemic. And he's a smart guy. He's a professor of medicine, economics, and health research policy at Stanford. And so I'm glad that this federal appeals court has upheld the Constitution for him. And you know what we have seen, David, is more and more cases, right? The wheels of justice turn way too slow. But more and more cases have been upheld, upholding our constitutional right against the infringements that were imposed on us during this unconstitutional lockdown.
Right. Yeah, we can thank 45th president for that. I think he appointed more federal judges than any other president previous to him. So thank you, Mr. Trump, President Trump, for that.
Amen for that. And so since we're talking about the
$6 trillion budget, but other than that, I appreciate the judges.
Yeah, well, you know, it's
it's politics. It's politics. It's all politics. You know,
it is.
We can't not spend money, otherwise we won't get the votes. Right? All of the two-thirds that two-thirds of the budget that is the entitlements and benefits to people and just outright just giveaways. That's all. Those are all bribes for votes. That's all it is. You know.
Well, you know, you got that right. You got that right. It is bribes for votes, and that's not how it should be, but that is the reality. That is the reality.
It is, yeah.
Hey, I'm posting another story here right now, and this is a good news story. The Dallas mayor, the mayor of the city of Dallas, Texas, has switched to be a Republican. He has long been a Democrat. And so this is making the city the largest in the nation led by a Republican. And to quote him, he says, too many Democrats insist on virtue signaling. And so he switched parties, and he said that next spring I'll be voting in the Republican primary, and America's cities need Republicans, and I'm becoming one.
Good.
And it is good. He said that and Republicans need American cities. He went on to say that he was switching because American cities are in disarray, as local Democrat leaders haven't, in his view, made public safety a priority. And he also claimed Democrats spent tax dollars in a way that made homelessness worse, while funding new ways to thumb their nose at Republicans rather than focusing on solving problems. So hooray! Hooray to him, to Eric Johnson. His name is Eric Johnson, and welcome to the Republican Party. And that was a story out of the Washington Post, and we need more of that. And we've seen several in this past year of Democrats switching to Republicans.
Yeah, well, I certainly can't blame them. That Democrat Party's turned into cray-cray.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
Hey, well, listen, have you heard about Will Lathrop? He has officially announced that he's the first Republican to announce he's running for Attorney General for the state of Oregon. And Don and I, he's actually grew up in Wallowa County.
Oh, nice.
And I've had the opportunity of meeting him. And in fact, I've had him in front of our Central Committee. He was very well received. And he's a real lawyer, unlike what we've had on the ballot before, running for Attorney General.
Unlike Michael Cross.
Unlike that candidate. And
Michael con man Cross.
Yeah. and so he's has a lot of experience, and he's a former prosecutor here in Oregon, but he actually lived in South Africa for, I think it's 6 years. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was 6 years, and he was helping to convict child traffickers. And he put a team together there, and but truly, he's come back to Oregon to try to make a difference.
Oh, good.
And if we're going to have him on Captive Audience,
Oh,
and
good.
so I'm going to post a link right here that he was on Oregon Bridge, which I was not familiar with that until today. And so this is a YouTube video that you can watch and learn about him in his own words. And he's a nice guy, but most importantly, I really believe he's ethical, honest, and capable of the job. Capable of the job.
Right.
And something, he had
I take it he's not woke.
He is not woke.
Good.
He's not woke. And so Annette Lathrop, who is the former chair of Wallowa County, that's her son.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And but he is, we talked about a lot of questions. He was asked a lot of questions while he was with our central committee. And he said, one of them was that what about if you're seeing, let's say you're elected attorney general, and you're seeing some cases are not being prosecuted, much like what happened in Portland. He says, oh, we can take care of that. He says, we can take care of that. He says, I have solutions to those things. So he is rare, and I think he's a wonderful candidate, and it's going to be refreshing having a candidate such as he. And David, I think you would really, really like him. And so since we talked about him on Wednesday, and someone had said, hey, you got to have him on Captive Audience. I said, well, we will. And then I saw this video today. So it would be, everybody check it out.
Good. So are you saying, Les, that Rosenblum is not running again?
That's right. No, Rosenblum is not. Yes.
Oh,
so we announced that on Wednesday, Don and I, and so actually it's an open seat, which is even easier for the candidates, quite frankly.
Oh, yeah. No, open seat doesn't have the power of incumbency, so
people need to go to Friends of Will Lathrop and go to his website, donate money. Every candidate needs money, and he is no different. And I'll tell you, he's the real deal. He's who we want for Attorney General. So he's the first Republican. He's the only one that I know of, and we need him here in Oregon.
We do. Yeah, he needs money. Money is the mother's milk of politics. So, and the Oregon Republican Party needs to get their ass in gear and register about 100,000 more Republicans. So. I don't know what the hell you people are doing since I left, but you ought to get busy and do something if you're listening. I know you're not listening because Suni and I are on this show.
Sad to say, but true.
Yeah. We're the enemy. We're the enemy. We're the
enemy. Oh my gosh, we're part of the swamp, don't you know, David?
Well, we are part of the swamp. I mean, you and I were part of the executive committee when 60,000 more Oregonians decided to become Republicans.
Yeah.
Nearly, I think 40,000 of those have changed their mind now.
And I'll tell you, we made a little.
That's only because of us. Because we left. Or you didn't leave. You're still there.
I am. And I will tell you, we did, I think, 18 voter registrations during Roundup.
Good.
And you know what? That's in 4 days. And it's very refreshing. And we did a straw poll again, for all the presidential candidates. And it was fun to see people come up and they see two beans in the jar for for Mike Pence, and some other people go, who voted for him? I can't believe anybody voted for him. And so it's fun to have those conversations, to hear the
Got two
comments.
Democrats stop by?
Yes, they did. In fact, we had Democrats come by and said, I'm a Democrat and I'm voting for Trump. I'm an independent. I'm voting for Trump. I'm not. I said, well, we can change your voter registration. No, I'm fine there. I like screwing with their numbers. We keep hearing, I like screwing with their numbers. Well, all right, whatever. Yeah. And, but it was, that part was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, good. Yeah. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
Every little bit.
More Republicans.
We do. That's how we need more Republicans, but we also need to educate the voters so they turn their ballots in.
Well, no, we don't need to educate them. We need to identify them, and we need to go get their ballots.
But there's a certain number of people that would actually, if they knew who or what to vote for, they would actually turn a ballot in. There is certain a number of people that don't vote because they don't know, and that's why I say that.
I agree. But elections are no longer about talking points or ideology or rallies or speeches. Elections now are about ballot acquisition. I mean, there's no other way. There's no other way to say it. If we're not willing to go out and actively harvest ballots and bring them in for our candidates, then we'll have a second term of Biden or whoever is in the wings waiting to take over for Biden.
Right. We'll have to see how that shapes up. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. What's his name? Scott Pressler. He understands this, and there's a few other people that understand it. And hopefully Republicans in Oregon will understand this, and they will harvest ballots, which is not illegal in the state of Oregon.
No, it isn't.
They will do everything in their power to get a ballot out of a likely Republican voter's hands.
Where do you recommend people go to harvest ballots?
Every single nursing home. Every single nursing home, every single care. What's the limited? The ones that are not nursing homes, but they're assisted living.
Assisted living.
Every assisted living. Every single church except for the Methodist Church, because they're all Democrats. And the Universal Church of Christ, they're all just flat out commies. But every nursing home, every single
maybe the 55 and up communities.
Every single 55 and up community, every single citizen swearing in, the Democrats are there.
They are there. They are there. Absolutely.
The Republicans are not. At least Republicans in Oregon are not. So yeah, we need to be out there. We need to be out there every place where there are potential Republican ballots, and we need to aggressively get them in our hands. Aggressively. Because that's what they're doing. And
yeah, they've got the union workers going and doing this kind of thing, quite frankly.
They're paid. Yeah, they're paid. Yeah, they have paid people doing it, and we don't. So that's a bit of a disadvantage, and we've always had that disadvantage. But I mean, that's the only way you win. The only way you win in Oregon is either overwhelm them with voter registration, which I think if there were no fraud, if Jesus himself were conducting Oregon elections, and there was no fraud, there would be no expectation of winning statewide in the state of Oregon, because we're down by 10 points. Now, if we added, 150,000 voters, we'd only be down by 5. We would have an expectation that would be competitive. 4 or 5 is competitive. 10 is not competitive. It is not competitive. No, there is no political consultant on the face of the earth will look you honestly in the eye and say, "Oh, you got a chance," D plus 10, because you don't.
Hey, Lori puts a good point there. Not all counties, mostly Multnomah, Clackamas, Washington, and maybe Marion. That's where the severe ballot harvesting should happen.
Well,
But
here's
every vote counts. If
well
we
here's
get our
here's
numbers up even over here in
yeah,
Umatilla County.
right. If we were dead even in registration, I would say yes. We're not dead even in registration, so we have to make up even more. We're down 10 points in registration. We have to go to nursing homes and people in Harney County. We
You
have
know,
to go.
so something to think about is, so here in Umatilla County, the unaffiliated voters outnumber everybody. And Republicans to Democrats, it's about 2-1. So of the unaffiliated voters, it stands to reason that they would be about 2-1. So so the conservatives in Umatilla County really outnumber the Democrats, but where there are so many of those unaffiliateds that will not vote.
Mhm.
And that's where we have to try to reach them. I
Well,
mean,
you have to go to them
you do. You
and
do. And
say,
that's what
fill
we
out
did this
fill out your
last.
effing ballot
Yeah.
now, because I'm
Yeah.
going to take it with me.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
know, the problem with that is in Umatilla County. Is that what you're saying? Your
Yeah.
county.
Yeah.
So you're going to turn out in 2024. Republicans are going to turn out about 88-89%, right? Right. And
Yes.
and Democrats are going to turn out probably slightly less, probably 86%. But it doesn't matter because you're 2-1 Democrat or 2-1 Republican, right? The
Hmm.
problem with it is the UAVs will turn out at about 36% now because they've been going down every
Yes. Oh yeah.
cycle.
They don't turn their ballots in.
No. So if you can identify those people who are likely to vote, you need to go knock on their door and
Yeah.
you say, "Hey, look, I know you're okay. You're a good person and I need your ballot." "Oh, I'll get it in." "No, I need it. I have to take it with me."
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Okay. So hey,
let's either bring it here and we'll fill it out at the doorstep, or I'll come in and we'll fill it out and then we'll seal it and you lick this thing and I'll take it with me, because that's exactly what Democrats are doing.
well, it
It's,
is. You're right. You're
yeah.
right.
And I don't know. I don't see anything really changing in Oregon elections until we close that registration gap. But I do know that there's no longer any reason to uh, wave flags over at an overpass. I mean, if you got time to wave flags at an overpass, you got time to go knock identified
Yeah, knocking
non-affiliated
on
voters.
doors does a lot more than waving a flag.
Yeah,
Absolutely. You've got to do voter outreach. And for me, like, I don't want to text on my phone.
no, I hate that.
For me, I hate that. And I
I
just
hate it
hit
too.
delete,
That's the
block.
other thing. That's the other thing too, is Republicans in Oregon need to vote on day one. The day the ballots come, you need to fill it out and turn it in.
I
So
agree.
we
Early
can stop
voting.
wasting resources on GOTV efforts to people who are likely going to vote,
Yeah.
but don't vote until the last day, because somehow we got in a thing that somehow if we save it to the last day, it's like voting on election day. But
Right.
I don't
Right.
know. We have to change, is what I'm saying. We have to change. We can't keep doing the same shit over and over again and expect different results. It's just,
Yep.
it's not working.
I'm glad we're having this discussion today, David. I really am,
Good.
because it can't be talked about enough, quite frankly, because this is how we can change it here in Oregon.
We have to change. We have to change. We have to understand that elections have changed. And I'm not discounting the fraud. Obviously there's fraud, but I'm saying within the part that's not fraud, uh, ballot harvesting or ballot acquisition is how elections will be won from here on out. And it's just different. It's not It's not, oh, the Democrat is so bad that everybody's going to vote Republican. That's not the way it works anymore.
Right.
The way
Right.
it works is somebody shows up at your church or your business or your nursing home and they talk to you about it and they get your freaking ballot and then it goes in and gets counted. And I don't know how to count for the fraud. Whatever the fraud is, the fraud. I don't know any. I don't know how to change it. I don't know what to do about it. So I don't focus on it. But I do know that if we close the registration gap in the state of Oregon, and if we change the way we did GOTV and focus solely on ballots, getting ballots, I think we would do much better. Without the voter registration, I don't think we're going to win statewide, but we'll win a lot more seats, other than statewide. We'll win a lot more seats, House seats, Senate seats, and, probably city councils and all that stuff. So.
Okay, everybody, you heard it here. Vote on the first day that you get, and tell your friends, families, and neighbors to do the same. And you too, whether you're involved in the party or not.
You don't tell them. Yeah, you go to their house and you do it with them. That's the way you do it. We've had voting parties in the past. We've hosted them at my house. Had young voters over and stuff, and the point is you're going to vote your ballot today, and regardless of what you do, I'm going to make sure that it gets turned in.
Yeah.
You don't get to take it with you. I'm going to take it. I'm going to make sure. Because I missed a May primary. I don't know, 5 years ago or so, because I was separated from my ballot and I put it off and didn't get it done in time, and so I just missed the whole thing. And so now I'm kind of a stickler for getting that thing in early, so I don't miss the boat. I messed up my perfect voting record.
Well, this happens. Life happens. But you know what? You learned your lesson. And then there's those, David, that also say, well, wait a minute. I want to wait because maybe something's going to come out about a candidate. I'm going to wait.
Good point.
Right?
Good point. We saw that with Sam Carpenter, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And I got a lot of calls and a lot of messages, Sonny, from people saying, how can I change my vote?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Maybe you shouldn't have bought all that bullshit in the first place and you wouldn't have to, but it's a very good point. It's a very good point. I'm not sure what to say about that. I mean, most of our decisions are pretty binary, right? We're not going to vote for Coach X, so we're going to vote for Drazen.
Right. And exactly.
It doesn't matter what Drazen says or does. We're not voting for the Democrat.
Right.
So, and primary elections, I think, are a lot less important that way. And I guess you can probably wait. But primary elections are only part of the process, and the real poll is on that second Tuesday or first Tuesday after a Monday in November.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
I talked too much.
We'll continue this conversation another time, and I think it's good because the more people that hear about it, we're helping to spread the word, David. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Sonny. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Have a great weekend. Good night.
Good night.